The notifications lit up, the timeline froze,
Hmm.
and just like that, the internet had a new obsession. A secret billionaire baby, a multi-million-dollar hush money contract, and, well, a romance that went from a tropical getaway to a brutal public war.
I mean, it is the absolute definition of a modern media firestorm, right? But beneath the sensational headlines, the stakes here are actually incredibly real. We're
Right.
talking about the commodification of human life and really a very public arena where personal destruction is like just a tweet away.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome to Starscope Report. Join Jordan and Jamie as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
So glad you're here with us.
And today, we are taking you behind the viral headlines of Elon Musk's most bizarre custody battle yet. We are unpacking the story behind the headline, why Elon Musk's ex says their relationship became weird before she got pregnant.
Right. To give you the full picture, we're pulling from a really diverse stack of sources for this deep dive. We're synthesizing reporting from the Wall Street Journal, E! News, ID Times, The New Republic, and there's this really fascinating philosophical essay from Public Discourse.
Yeah, that essay is super interesting, but real quick, before we jump in, we need to make something crystal clear for you listening at home. St. Clair has a background in the Magier conservative movement, and she's recently defected from that. But we are looking strictly at the court documents, the public statements, and the timeline.
Exactly.
We are impartially reporting the facts from these sources. We are not endorsing any political viewpoint. We're just here for the anatomy of a story that is, honestly, almost too wild to believe.
Yeah, it really is. And, the timeline begins with this sort of modern digital power dynamic. So it's May 2023. Ashley St. Clair is 24 years old. She's working as a commentator for the conservative satire site, the Babylon Bee. And Elon Musk had just acquired X, formerly Twitter, and one of his early moves was restoring her employer's suspended account. And soon after that, he just slides into her direct messages.
I mean, imagine you're a 24-year-old writer, right? And the
Yeah.
wealthiest man on the planet, who also literally owns the platform where you make your living, just starts sending you memes.
It's wild.
Yeah. And according to St. Clair, the interaction started off surprisingly normal. She found him, funny, smart, and disarmingly down to earth.
Yeah, and the transition from digital to real life actually happened because her CEO asked her to fly to San Francisco to interview Musk.
Oh, wow. So it started as a work trip.
Exactly. It was professional, but that professional encounter quickly blurred into something else entirely. After that interview, Musk texted her, asking if she wanted to join him in Providence, Rhode Island, that very night.
That escalated quickly.
Right, and that impromptu flight marks the official beginning of a whirlwind romance that would, rapidly escalate.
We really have to look at the psychology here to understand what happens next. St. Clair posted this very candid TikTok video recently, kind of laying out her mindset at the time. You have to picture her situation. She is already a single mother from a previous relationship.
Right, which comes with its own pressures.
Exactly. She admitted that because she was heavily involved in the right-wing influencer space as a single mom, she felt judged. She actually described feeling stained, believing her chances at that traditional white picket fence life were just completely out the window.
And, compounding that emotional vulnerability is a very real financial anxiety.
Yeah.
I mean, raising a child alone in a volatile economy is terrifying for anyone.
Oh, absolutely.
So when a man with a net worth of over $200 billion steps into your life and assures you that financial instability is a thing of the past and actively encourages you to build a family with him, the appeal is, undeniable.
Yeah, I totally get that. Which brings us to New Year's in St. Barts, January 2024. They're on this tropical getaway. St. Clair casually mentions to Musk that she's ovulating. Right. And Musk, who had already been pushing the idea of having children together, reportedly replies, "What are we waiting for?"
It sounds like a movie.
It sounds exactly like the climax of a romance novel. But, and here's the major turning point, St. Clair reveals that the moment she actually got pregnant, the down-to-earth guy who sent her memes just vanished. Things got, in her exact words, weird.
Yeah, the shift she describes is so jarring. The romance essentially evaporated, and it was replaced by this intense clinical micromanagement. The Wall Street Journal reported that Musk insisted St. Clair deliver the baby via C-section.
Oh, wait,
Insisted. And he wasn't making this demand out of concern for her health. His stated reasoning was that vaginal birth restricts brain development. He actually claims C-sections allow for larger brains.
Okay, I'm struggling to wrap my head around this. Demanding a surgical procedure for a larger brain sounds like he's trying to, like, overclock a computer processor, not deliver a human baby. What exactly were these weird demands? Is this rooted in medical science, or is this just billionaire eccentricity taking over?
It's actually rooted in an ideology that has gained massive traction in Silicon Valley, which that piece in public discourse breaks down brilliantly. It's called technocratic pronatalism.
Technocratic pronatalism.
Yeah. Musk has repeatedly stated that global population collapse is a far greater threat to humanity than climate change. But his approach to solving this isn't about fostering loving traditional families. To him, it's an engineering problem. He views children as, like, optimized products necessary to sustain human civilization.
Wow. Well, that optimization mindset explains why he didn't stop at the delivery method, right? Because St. Clair is Jewish and she wanted her son circumcised, but Musk vehemently opposed the procedure and fought her on it.
He did.
It's like he is attempting to control the physical parameters of the child's body before it's even born.
He is literally managing the biology.
Yeah.
In text messages to St. Clair that were revealed later, Musk stated that to reach what he called legion-level populations before an apocalyptic collapse, they would need to start using surrogates.
Legion.
Yeah, he wasn't talking about building a family tree. He was talking about manufacturing a biological army.
That is chilling. And that's not even the wildest part. Wait until you hear the multi-million-dollar price tag he put on keeping this baby a total secret. If you're loving these Hollywood twists, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead in this deep dive.
Yeah, you definitely want to stick around for this next part. Because that obsession with biological micromanagement during the pregnancy was just a preview.
Right, because once the baby was actually here, Musk treated the child not as a family member, but like a liability to be managed. And that's when the financial war started. Let's set the scene for the ultimate reveal.
Let's do it.
It's Valentine's Day, 2025. Out of nowhere, Ashley St. Clair drops an absolute bombshell on the timeline. She posts a photo announcing the birth of her 5-month-old son, Romulus, and publicly names Elon Musk as the father.
Yep.
The caption reads, Alia iacta est, the die is cast.
Which is such a dramatic phrase. It's famously attributed to Julius Caesar crossing the Rubicon. It basically means she knew she was passing the point of no return.
Absolutely.
But why would she go nuclear on the very platform her billionaire ex-boyfriend owns? Because for 5 months, this brutal negotiation had been happening in the shadows.
All right.
After Romulus was born, Musk didn't show up with a stroller and a diaper bag. He deployed his longtime wealth manager and fixer, Jared Birchall, to handle the situation.
A fixer for a newborn baby.
Yeah.
That's just, wow. And Birchall brings a staggering offer to the table. A $15 million lump sum intended for a home and living expenses, plus $100,000 a month in child support until Romulus turns 21.
Which sounds like an unimaginable lottery win, right?
Totally. It sounds incredible on paper, but the strings attached were just suffocating.
Yeah, the core of the agreement was this ironclad non-disclosure agreement. St. Clair had to swear total secrecy regarding Musk's identity as the father.
Which is wild.
And even more drastically, Musk demanded that his name be entirely kept off the child's birth certificate. When she questioned this, Musk texted her his justification, claiming he was the number 2 target for assassination after Trump. And he added this ominous phrase, "Only the paranoid survive."
Okay, the glaring irony here is blinding. Elon Musk champions himself as the globe's ultimate free speech absolutist. He spent $44 billion buying X under the specific guise of protecting unfiltered human expression.
Oh, exactly.
Yet the moment his personal life gets complicated, he uses his immense wealth to draft an NDA to legally gag the mother of his own child. It's not a co-parenting agreement, it's an enterprise non-compete clause applied to an infant.
The enterprise analogy is spot on because the contract offered 0 human protections. St. Clair walked away from the $15 million because she recognized the psychological toll it would take.
Right, she felt it would make her son feel illegitimate.
Yes, her entire life. Furthermore, the NDA was aggressively one-sided. It criminalized her speech regarding Musk, but it contained no clauses preventing him from publicly disparaging her.
And there was no safety net for Romulus either. The proposed contract offered no trust fund in the event of Musk's death, and no specialized medical support if the child became gravely ill. It was basically a hush money payout masquerading as child support.
Exactly. And when she refused those terms and made that Valentine's Day post, Musk's retaliation was swift, systematic, and entirely financial.
Yeah, she lost the money.
According to St. Clair's statements, Musk immediately slashed the informal child support he had been paying. That promised $100,000 a month dropped to $40,000 and was eventually getted down to $20,000. She publicly described this financial starvation as a direct punishment for her disobedience.
And while we track wild Hollywood and tech stories like this every week here on The Deep Dive, so make sure you're subscribed, I don't think I've ever seen a pivot from romance to retaliation happen this fast. He even went on X to publicly question his own paternity. I know. He literally forced St. Clair to undergo a court-ordered DNA test, and the results from LabCorp, of course, came back 99.9999% positive. He's subjected her to global humiliation just to prove a point.
This is where the analysis in public discourse really resonates. The author argues that this kind of behavior commodifies children and instrumentalizes women.
Instrumentalizes, yeah.
When a billionaire uses his immense leverage to control the narrative of a child's existence, like offering millions to erase a father's name or cutting off funds to punish a mother, it strips away the intrinsic dignity of family life. It turns human beings into assets and liabilities on a corporate balance sheet.
Yeah, that is so well said. And later in the deep dive, we'll talk about the shocking twist nobody saw coming. A full-blown custody war sparked by a single tweet about a totally different child.
Right, because if you thought the NDA and the paternity test were extreme, the story takes an even darker turn. The financial war was just the opening salvo.
Exactly. So fast forward to January 2026. The situation escalates from a dispute over money to an outright threat of taking the child away. Musk takes to his own platform to announce he is filing for full legal custody of one-year-old Romulus.
Full custody.
Yes, full custody. And his public justification for this. He claims Ashley's statements implied she might transition a one-year-old boy.
Okay, we really need to unpack the actual mechanics of that accusation because the disparity between what happened and what Musk claimed is massive.
It's huge.
Ashley St. Clair never made a threat to transition her infant son. The claim originated from a completely separate exchange on X. A user confronted St. Clair, asking her to take accountability for her history of what the user called blatant transphobia.
Right. And rather than getting defensive, St. Clair replied with an expression of deep remorse. She explicitly wrote that she felt immense guilt over her past rhetoric. Specifically, she noted her fear that the things she had said online might have caused Elon Musk's transgender daughter from a previous marriage additional pain. It was literally an apology to her son's half-sister.
And Musk took that statement of empathy, that apology for past transphobia, and legally weaponized it. He framed her desire to be an ally to the trans community as a direct, actionable threat to the gender identity of their one-year-old baby.
Unbelievable.
He used her apology as the foundational argument in his bid to strip her of custody.
The sheer vindictiveness of that legal maneuver is just staggering. It's a billionaire using the legal system as a blunt instrument. And the toll it's taking on her is visible in real time. According to a piece in the New Republic, St. Clair has reached what she openly calls rock bottom.
Yeah, she is facing eviction.
But instead of hiding, she is broadcasting her fight. She is studying for the LSATs to go to law school, and she's documenting her life through Get Ready With Me makeup videos on TikTok.
Those TikToks are a fascinating cultural artifact, honestly. They represent a complete ideological implosion. While she's, applying foundation and eyeliner, she is systematically dismantling the political machinery she used to work for.
Oh, she is going after major figures with zero hesitation. She's calling out conservative media groups, taking aim at massive influencers like Benny Johnson, and criticizing politicians linked to the Meiji movement.
Yeah, she refers to her past self as a cringe Meiji influencer, actively trying to take responsibility for the rhetoric she used to amplify.
It's quite the turnaround.
It really is. But her defection from that movement is playing out simultaneously with an incredibly dark legal battle against Musk's corporate empire.
Right, the New Republic highlighted this.
Yeah, the New Republic highlighted a lawsuit that feels like it belongs in a sci-fi horror film. Musk's own artificial intelligence company, xAI, generated horrific, pornographic images of Ashley depicted as a minor.
I want you to really absorb that. The artificial intelligence tools created and owned by the man she shares a child with were used to generate illegal, explicit imagery of her. It is a dystopian feedback loop where a billionaire's technology is weaponized against the mother of his child.
It's terrifying. St. Clair sued xAI over the generation and distribution of those images, and in response, the billion-dollar tech company is currently countersuing her.
Wow.
So she is a single mother, staring down eviction, fighting a multi-front legal and public relations war against the wealthiest man alive and his corporate entities.
It is a true David and Goliath scenario playing out on timelines and in courtrooms. Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next, because this story is far from over, and its implications ripple out far beyond just celebrity gossip.
Definitely. Because to truly understand the gravity of this, we have to pull back and look at the macro level of Elon Musk's life. We're talking about a man who has at least 14 known children.
14.
14. He shares kids with his first wife, Justine Wilson, the musician Grimes, Neuralink executive Siobhan Zillies, and now Ashley St. Clair. And to manage this sprawling network, he relies heavily on IVF, surrogacy agencies, and intermediaries like Jared Birchall.
And look at the naming conventions. Romulus, Technomechanicus, Exodarch Sidereal. It doesn't sound like a family tree. It sounds like the character roster of a sci-fi novel.
Well, that aesthetic choice aligns perfectly with his worldview. The author of the Public Discourse essay points out that Musk operates as if he's the founder of an imperial dynasty.
Right, the Mars thing.
Yes. His ultimate stated goal is to colonize Mars, to the point where he has reportedly offered his own biological material to seed that future off-world colony. He views procreation as a mathematical equation to solve the crisis of population collapse.
But the actual human relationships left in the wake of that mathematical equation are deeply fractured. I mean, he is treating human beings, the mothers of his children and the children themselves, like transactional assets. They are liabilities to be managed with NDAs, financial ultimatums, and corporate fixers.
Exactly. The critique of his brand of pronatalism is that it is fundamentally anti-human. It strips the act of building a family of its intrinsic meaning and emotional weight. Children are not electric vehicles,
Yeah.
They cannot be mass-produced on an assembly line to solve a global crisis. When family life is delegated to corporate lawyers and managed through punitive financial leverage, it severely damages the very societal fabric that these pronatalists claim they are trying to save.
Which leaves us with a massive question to ponder for you listening at home. Elon Musk loudly proclaims that population collapse is a bigger threat to humanity than global warming.
Right.
But if the richest man on Earth approaches family building like a hostile corporate acquisition, using NDAs, financial leverage, and intermediaries to manage his legion of children, what happens to the human element of humanity's future? If we strip the empathy, the dignity, and the connection out of family, are we saving civilization or just mass-producing it without a soul?
That is the question, isn't it? It forces us to ask whether the future we are rushing to build is one we actually want to live in. Because when technology and infinite wealth collide with the most fundamental human relationships, the casualties are very real and they're playing out right in front of us.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.